Good morning, Darshan bhai.
Good morning, ma'am.
Should we start?
Yes, definitely we can start.
Okay.
We must start now because
it's 10:45. Yeah. A very good morning to esteemed faculty for today, CAIP Darshan Patel, coordinator for today's session, CA Mudra Council, senior members and my dear friends. Welcome to this 5th day of IBC series. Yes, good morning, Mudra. Today is also going to be a wonderful session by Darshan Patel. He is an expert insolvency professional, and the topic liquidation as a going concern is a favorite topic of Darshan bhai. There are so many complexities and intricacies, and he was very keen. Okay, let's discuss on that. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we are going to have another important session. Tomorrow we have Savan Godiawala, and day after tomorrow we have a very important understanding of the PERF transaction. So let's begin the session. I would request everyone to place their right hand on their heart for ICI motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Pursho nirmimanaha Tadev Shukram Tada Brahma Tadeva Mritamucchate Tasmin Lokaha Shetaha Sarve Taduna Kaschana Etadvaita
Welcome back. Before we start the session, 2 announcements. Number 1, I would request all the members, we have a WhatsApp group of IBC series. We look forward for your views, comments and suggestions. So let us know. This is the first time we have this long series. So we would be looking after your feedback, your views, your comments, whatever topics you want in further sessions. So we look for your feedback. That is the first thing. Second thing, right now we have only 3 videos on. It is very paining for a faculty to talk to a blank screen. So I request all of you to please start your video. Thank you, Gautam bhai. Whosoever, whatever, we know that we are simultaneously doing our work. We understand that. Yes, thank you, Pankaj bhai. But please, I would request, yes, Hardik bhai, you are driving the car. Thank you so much. So please start your video and let's motivate each other. Yes, Srinivasi. So let's start the session. I would now request CA Mudra to introduce the faculty for today.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. A very bright and beautiful morning to all my fellow participants, the speaker and the host. I want you to meet Mr. Darshan Patel, the faculty for today. Mr. Patel, who will be giving us light on topic of liquidation as a going concern, is a CA, ESA, ERM, DIRM, and a commerce graduate, and has 2 decades of experience working in the professional field. An industry expert as an IRP, RP, and as a liquidator, he is an excellent faculty for us due to his hands experience in the IBC field through the pre-pack resolution process. He is a registered valuer too and a committee member with GCCI. He has also acted as a mentor for start valuation and business model valuations. So please welcome Sir Darshan Patel. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mudra. Let me thank first the organizers, the CA Harit Dhariwal and team, and CA IP and Dr. Anjali Choksi for the wonderful IBC series. Actually, IBC is an ever-evolving law. So maybe the participants are new for these particular IBC or what, but this is amazing attempt, Anjali. And thanks for inviting and giving me a chance to present my views. Let me share. Is it visible? Okay. Now, I think you must be observing that we are talking about liquidation and simultaneously we are talking about going concern. So liquidation, when we think that liquidation, we cannot think anymore on going concern, and that's what the subject is. It is a recent and new law of IBC, and in that IBC law, it is a new concept emerged. Now, before going to the subject in specific, let me share one small short story of Akbar and Birbal. I think we all know Akbar and Birbal, both the characters. One day, the Emperor Akbar gave the death sentence to one of the villagers. Now, wife of the villager went to the Akbar and requested, prayed for the chance and giving the matter to Birbal. Birbal is considered, we all know Birbal is considered to be of high intellect and just like a superpower and has all the, out of the all various options, he have superb options and views at end. So the matter went to Birbal, and finally it was decided by convincing the emperor that the life sentence was too much for the villager. Now, with this particular small short story, let us correlate this story with the subject in specific. Say here, the emperor may be treated as the NCLT, may be viewed as the NCLT because NCLT has the adjudicating authority for all IBC matters. We already understood the concept of IBC from the presentation of Ms. Anjali. So here the emperor is the NCLT. The CD, what we are saying that a corporate debtor, we may assume as a villager who has been given a life death sentence. And of course, the Birbal is the liquidator here in our story. So with these, let us start the IBC. Now, we all know that the specific objectives of IBC are for maximization of value of the assets. Promote the entrepreneurship, availability of credit sources, and balancing of interests of the stakeholders. Now, with these objectives, I have analyzed the liquidation as a going concern concept. There are 2-3 important objectives we can correlate. One is maximization of value, which is the base of liquidation as a going concern. Second is reviving a failing company, even at the liquidation stage. So the whole preamble or the whole object of the IBC is revival. It is not for recovery anymore. It is fundamentally for a revival. And today we are also talking on the revival of the company, even at a liquidation stage. So that is very much in the object clause. And third, providing a clean state for the company to after revival for the benefit of a buyer, whomsoever is buying the company, whomsoever is providing a revival chance to the corporate debtor must get this clean state. These 2-3 important objectives are there with respect to liquidation under going concern. Now, the scenario, we all know that there are 2 important concepts of revival of the company. One is at CIRP, that is Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process, whereby a resolution applicant resolves the company ultimately and takes the company with him. So that is one aspect. We already understood that under section 31 of the code, resolution plan is approved by NCLT, and the whole process is covered, I think, by Mr. Sir Praveenji. And with a wonderful insights, we all know that the CIRP has one of the process of revival. Now, today we are talking about the another scope where a company can be revived under IBC even at a liquidation level. So there are certain chapters, there are regulations specific. We'll be going and understanding each and every down the line. Now, before going to the particular regulation, what is the fundamental, how the whole process, how the IBC under IBC liquidation as going concern concept emerged, that is very important. So allow me to take you to a small journey, how the concept emerged. So now we are starting from before the amendment of the regulation. What initially the liquidation regulation was having? It was having the asset centering approach. We all know that a liquidator, when we assume a liquidator, we assume that liquidator is a person who sells the assets, whatever are available assets, and ultimately distributes to the stakeholders. This is what the job of So fundamentally, the IBC started with the regulation 32, and it was having specifically standalone basis sale through slump sale. We all know sale of assets in a group and sale of assets in a parcels. So it is machine level, it is factory level, it is as a slump sale, it is specific to particular factory process, specific to line of processes, specific to parts and bits and pieces of
मेरे को जुलाई के तीनों बिल स्कैन करके दे देना, मिडास के जुलाई के.
So basically
चारों बिल ही दे दे स्कैन करके.
Sir, can you put your mic on a mute mode?
Yes, I have muted him. Darshan, but you can continue.
So ultimately, the concept started with the asset centering approach for a liquidator. Now, the concept is we are talking on liquidation as a going concern, but there is important concept of section 282 in the Companies Act. Before IBC, the Companies Act 282 is having a particular section whereby liquidator has been allowed to sell company as a going concern. So, but even if the particular Companies Act, a section is provided, in the IBC territory, nobody attempted the particular section of a Companies Act. I think the most probably IBC being a new act, IBC having a superior powers, nobody attempted for section 282. So it says that tribunal may, on examination of the report submitted by the liquidator, after hearing company liquidator, creditor, contributories, allow sale as a going concern. So the concept is already backed up by the Companies Act. Now, through the process of IBC in certain initial years, this particular landmark judgment of Gujarat NRE Court, yes, it has a Gujarat name because, you know, every landmark decision, judgment or concept is evolved through Gujarati or, you know, a particular region. So it was NCLT Kolkata bench, and the bench viewed the whole objective of IBC and interpreted that liquidator must be allowed to sell company as a going concern, even if there was no, at that point of time, there was no direct regulation provided under IBC. So the brief of the case is that the particular case ordered 11th of January 2018. Just a minute. Let me shift this. Okay. Now the bench, despite there being no regulation or provision pertaining to CD as a going concern, Honorable bench observed that corporate data has about 1100 employees, workmen on its roll. And if the order of liquidation is passed under 33 of the code, section 33 is basically for a death, is just like a death warrant of a company, where a company is ordered liquidation and the whole process of liquidation, selling of the assets starts. So it was not the intention of the NCLT to go for ordering under section 33. And thereby they observed that the workmen of the corporate debtor shall be stripped of their livelihood unless the corporate debtor continues to remain as a going concern. So ultimately, NCLT allowed and directed a liquidator for sale under going concern concept. Now we are moving towards a particular another landmark judgment of Supreme Court in the year 9 October 2020. Very important that a resolution plan had not been implemented. So at the initial CIRP level, resolution applicants applied, resolution plan was not allowed or not accepted. NCLT ordered liquidation under 33. So ultimately liquidation was ordered. Now resolution applicant filed an appeal before NCLT for giving time for implementation. So the resolution applicant went further to the NCLT and requested that no, there is a concept of going concern and I want to buy a company with a concept of going concern. As per the NCLT direction, applicant deposited 15 crore also, but the rest of the proceedings were delayed, payment could not be made, and then requested for giving a particular chance or time for about 2-3 months of time for remaining payment. NCLT finally passed the order of liquidation and not accepted the resolution applicant's plea. And decided that there is the liquidator has to move for selling of the assets. Now, this ultimately it went to Supreme Court. The resolution applicant filed a petition. IBC and the ratio was that IBC recognizes a wider public interest in resolving a corporate insolvency. So the concept is it is for a public interest when the company is surviving, even at whatever stage it is, the ultimate survival provides public interest and its object is not to mere recovery of the money. That was the ratio decided by the Supreme Court. In order to protect the value and in order to achieve maximization of value of CD, liquidator is required to make efforts to sell CD as a going concern. So, Honorable, the Supreme Court already decided for going concern. Now, we are discussing a going concern, but there is no definition, no brief given in the IBC with reference to going concern. I've tried to capture certain information across IBC also with reference to going concern. So, as a chartered accountant, we all know that accounting standards also has going concern concepts. We all know that the accounting standard basically throw light on neither the intention nor the necessity of liquidation. So when we assume that the company has certainty to revive, has certain chance of revival and no option for liquidation. So except liquidation, the scenario is going for pointing out a going concern concept. Now, under Insolvency Law Committee report, they have used the phrase by stating that corporate debtor would be functional as it would have been prior to initiation of CIR. So here, Insolvency Law Committee report assumes that if the corporate debtor function more or less as it is before the CIRP level, then we can assume that there is a going concern still. There is another concept laid down by in the IBBI's agenda for governing board. IBBI has a governing board. This governing board regularly meets and discuss the newer concepts and issues. Going concern means all the assets, tangible or intangible, and resources need to continue to operate a business activity, which may be whole or a part of business of the corporate debtor without value being assigned to the individual assets. So IBBI's governing board is stating that one should not allocate individual values to the assets. The whole concept of going concern is whatever assets are there, tangible, intangible, whatever, it is talking about the whole concept and not individual assets. Now, these all are my inputs to you so that you can understand the concepts and actual regulations down the line. Another very informative information from Mr. M.S. Sahu, who is chairperson of IBBI. In his article, Why the Life of a Company is as Precious as that of a Human Being. I have given you the brief of the case, very important to understand. It starts that the COC, that is Committee of Creditor, is duty bound to detect distress well in time. So it starts that it is the role of a COC, that is a financial creditor, to detect, to identify the problems well in time as early as possible, then take over its reins through an insolvency proceeding where they do not have a more efficient remedy. So it talks about if the financial creditor has other remedies available, as IBC is not a recovery mechanism, it says, the article says that FCs should go try to attempt other options available. If not, then run it as a going concern. So FCs should run as a going concern ultimately, then preserve its underlying value. So here it is preservation. Whatever is lost. So, but preserve whatever value it has or business has, then visualize possible options for value enhancement. So it is a role of a COC to visualize whatever options for betterment of the value, for enhancement of value are there, then retrieve value lost on account of irregular transactions. That is basically the avoidable transactions. We'll be covering down the line in a separate session. Then curtail these rights of the stakeholder to the extent necessary. So it says that in a case of a moratorium, it has certain limitations. One cannot sue, one cannot have any proceedings of recovery and all that. So curtail the rights of stakeholder. Then after, create a market for competing feasible and viable resolution plans. Then after, it says that there should be a good market and feasible and viable resolution plan should be there to demonstrate the viability and feasibility from capable and credible people. So who are resolution applicant? Credible, capable people, and approve the best of them that sustains the life of the company while maximizing the value of the asset. So ultimate goal, sustaining life of the company while maximizing the value of the assets and balancing the interest. So it says that they must rescue a failing but a viable company, irrespective of whose company it is. So really a wonderful article. Now with these, we are moving towards the agenda of IBBI. So now till that time, till the amendment, the concept of liquidation as a going concern was under a discussion. In IBBI agenda also, it has a place. And now we are talking on reasoning of IBBI board. So what was that? Ultimately, they defended the concept of liquidation as a going concern with an important reasoning. One of the reasoning is that maximization of the value. So whenever you are reviving something, instead of selling individual assets, it is obviously, it is ultimately for maximization of the value. Many viable company may end up in liquidation in absence of availability of adequate number of bidders or non-approval of the resolution plan. So it may happen, they have discussed that it may happen that a company is viable, but due to any of the processing error, any of the issues with respect to CIRP proceedings, the company could not be revived under section 31, that is resolution plan, but the company may be a viable one. So that was the reasoning and the defense of the IBBI. And third, liquidation of such company may be premature and can result in avoidable losses of the employment and all the other aspects of the asset valuations. So there is merit in attempting sale of corporate debtor as a going concern in liquidation process. This was the defense of the IBBI in their board meeting. Then after, they also discussed the issues with respect to liquidation. So all these issues are, your inputs, and these inputs are necessary for the down the line for our discussion also. They discussed that there are issues with reference to liquidation. Is that one, section 52 gives right of secured creditor to sell the company, to sell the asset. Whatever assets are there with them, they have the right to sell, or they have the option to relinquish the right. And if they relinquish the right as per the IBC code, then and then the asset is available to the liquidator. This is the concept. They discussed, and the outcome is that for a going concern in liquidation process, either the secured creditor opt in favor of relinquishing. Relinquishing is to forgo the right. Whenever I am having a right, I'm relinquishing it. I'm not exercising it. Their security interest in favor of liquidation estate, or the secured creditor postpone exercise of the power to realize security interest outside the liquidation process to allow liquidator. If this happens, they discuss, then the liquidator is or can explore the possibility of a sale as a going concern. These were the discussion. Another important, hurdle or the discussion point was with reference to responsibility of a liquidator. Usually in the responsibility of the liquidator section, we have that liquidation entails disposal of assets and of the entity. This liquidator does not run the company usually. His task is to liquidate. And then ultimately after the discussion, the outcome came that section 33(7) mandates that the order for liquidation under this section shall be deemed to be notice of discharge of the company. Whenever the NCLT orders liquidation under section 33, it discharges everyone, every director, every employee, every workman, except there is 33(7), which says that except when the business of the corporate debtor is continuing during the liquidation process by the liquidator. This is ensuring going concern of the corporate debtor. So they deliberated on that also. After the deliberation, the concept of sale as going concern was discussed in precisely by stating that as CD survives, now the CD is, there is no death warrant. Ultimately, GCS, going concern sale, revives the company. So CD survives. There will be no need for dissolution of the company under section 54. So IBC section 54 says that after a liquidation, when there is no going concern, there is dissolution of the company under section 54 of IBC. So here, there is no dissolution. Second, adjudicating authority may pass an order for sale or transfer, of share. Basically, there is no transfer. Ultimately, it is extinguishment. We'll be seeing it later. Continuing of the authority, power, and obligation of liquidator to complete the liquidation process. After the sale, also liquidator has to do certain processes to complete the handover. Payment to the stakeholder in accordance with 53, that is distribution of the liquidation estate, whatever is the amount. So they talked on that. Now, subsequent to Gujarat NRE, we already talked, and after IBBI deliberations, the liquidation process regulation was amended. So previously it was not having going concern concept. Now clause E and clause F under regulation 32 were incorporated by stating that clause E is for sale of corporate data as a going concern, and F clause states that sale of business of a CD as a going concern. So with all these deliberations, ultimately the regulations were amended. Now what is the basic difference between these two? That is sale as CD as a going concern and a business as a going concern. What are the fundamental differences with respect to IBC? In the going concern, corporate data will be retained, obviously, because it is corporate data as a going concern. So a CD is retained as it is and will not be dissolved. While in the case of a business as a going concern, simultaneously, if we see, then the whole company having particular business, that particular business is sold. After going concern business sale, the company needs to be dissolved, because company after a business sale needs to be ramped. So there is dissolution after the end of business as a going concern sale. Now, CD as a going concern, the whole company is transferred here, obviously, because it is corporate data as a going concern sale, while in a business, only a business is a sale handed over to the acquirer. In the CD as a going concern, in the clause E, liquidator will be reporting under regulation 45, subclause 3A of liquidation regulation, and not under section 54. Section 54 is basically the dissolution of the company. So at end, there is no dissolution in the case of CD as a going concern, while in the case of business as a going concern, liquidator has to ultimately get the order under 54 for dissolution of the company. The Bankruptcy Legislative Reform Committee, BLRC, made a distinction between the business and firm like this, that business is the underlying structure whose operations generate revenue either as a whole or in part. So business is a subclass in the corporate data. The firm includes management, ownership, financial elements around these core business. So firm includes business. So when we say that CD is taken as a going concern, the whole company is going. When we say that business as a going concern sell, only the business particular in specific is going, and ultimately CD needs to be dissolved by the liquidator. Now there are in the process, we have seen that the regulations have been amended. Now IBBI talked on how and what is the manner of CD as a going concern or a business as a going concern. What is the process of selling it? So there is a discussion paper of IBBI dated 27/4/2019. Relevant extracts are here. That in this form of GCS, that is going concern sale, CD will not be dissolved. We have already seen. It will form part of liquidation estate. So what is liquidation? Just to understand that whenever a particular asset or a corporate data or a business having particular value is taken over or is taken for the sale, it is a part of an estate for a liquidator. So whenever CD is not dissolved, the whole value of the CD will be a part of a liquidation estate, along with business assets liability, including all contracts, liability, concessions, agreements, and all, whatever are there with the CD, everything is taken by the acquirer. The consideration received from sale will be split into share capital and unsecured loans based on capital structure that the acquirer decides. So now the point is, acquirer is bidding, say for 100 crore, out of 100 crore of consideration, which will be a part of a liquidation estate for a liquidator to distribute. These 100 crore, how acquirer has to pay. So there is split between the two. Certain portion goes for shareholding, remaining portion goes for unsecured loan, promoter unsecured loan, like we have understood that in a regular parallels. There will be an issuance of shares by CD, obviously, because already existing shareholders are out. They don't have any say. They are now just like the stakeholders in the process of distributing liquidation estate. So they will be they will be claiming for their shareholding if they have. Their shares are never transferred to the buyer because their shares are extinguished. The existing shares of CD will not be transferred and shall be extinguished. That is the discussion paper. And the existing shareholder will become claimant, obviously, from liquidation proceeds under 53. Section 53 talks about distribution waterfall, how in which priority these liquidation estate value needs to be distributed by the liquidator to the stakeholders. And the stakeholders are not only financial creditors, but unsecured debtors, creditors, including stakeholders. But in this discussion, they have also discussed about ineligibility of sale by saying that section 35(1)(f) of the code mandates. 35 is basically about duties of a liquidator. So 1F says that liquidator shall not sell the immovable or a movable proceeds or a property in liquidation to any person who is not eligible to be a resolution applicant under section 29A of the IBC. So there are sections which says that resolution applicant, if it is falling under certain section, it can't apply for resolution of the company. Same scenario applicable is made applicable to here under GCS as a going concern, that is at a liquidation level also. Now, who may exercise option for GCS? Now we have understood regulation. We've understood after regulation, IBBI discussion paper. Now it is time for liquidator to ultimately do the required proceedings. So now the slide is for liquidator's role. So now whether it is mandatory for a liquidator to go for GCS. First point, liquidator shall exercise the option of GCS. That is, it is mandatory by a liquidator to go for a compulsory GCS option when one, the COC may decide on going concern, including type of going concern sale, that is sale of CD as a going concern or sale of business as a going concern, and the timeline for its completion while passing a resolution for liquidation. The said resolution will be passed as per section 33, subsection 2 of the code. So here we are saying, that COC may decide that a company, even at a liquidation stage, that we don't want to liquidate a company as a standalone asset basis. We want to try to sell as a going concern. Then if that particular resolution is passed by a COC, it is mandatory under section 32, subsection 2, for a liquidator to sell under that structure only, under 32E and E or F. So if the COC recommends GCS, liquidator shall proceed first with GCS, and on failure of GCS or expiry of the timeline given, then and then the other options of under section regulation 32, that is distinct sale, asset-based sale or slump sale, can be entered in by the liquidator. So this is liquidator shall exercise. Under that is liquidator may exercise the option. Now, if there is no recommendation by a COC, so, recollect a biddable situation that being a superpower, it is expected that as a liquidator also, you will be behaving, you will be taking your decision in the best interest of the stakeholders. So for maximization of value and all that objectives are made applicable to a liquidator. So here liquidator may sell First, in the latest pronouncement also, it has been clarified that liquidator has to first select the option of GCS. If important, unit is viable and workmen and employees are there to run the company. So it is liquidator's call. Liquidator has to judge based on the information that whether a CD is a going concern, is a viable, even if not a going concern. It may not be at a going concern at that level, but whether a business is viable, whether workmen, employees are available to run the show. That is first call. And second, liquidator shall explore all options of sale for value maximization. So here it is a case that we have to, as a liquidator, assume you as being a liquidator, you have to take a call that yes, business is viable, there are employees available, workmen available. Now, which option is best creating a value? Whether it is better to sell assets, better to sell business standalone, better to sell CD as a going concern. That is the option available to the liquidator. Now, here, very important, liquidator will compute the value of each option. So, liquidator is always under pressure to exercise various options. And for that, just like a Bible is that he has to compute values with various options available. And the best option, if the viability is there, can be chosen as a going concern. Now, available asset for GCS. Now, this is very important to understand. Whenever we are observing that there is a going concern sell by a liquidator, the fundamental principle is that assets of the CD should be available for sale. So the concept of available of sale is that what? That there are basically two types of assets, secured, unsecured assets. Now assume that there are certain ABC financiers or bankers. They have given the loan against a particular securities, and they have the charge registered where they have the secured assets. These are the secured assets, say land, building, or factory, or whatever. So there are secured assets. There are certain unsecured assets also, suppose, in the company. So now, as a liquidator, it is our fundamental role to distribute various assets among secured and unsecured. Why security comes in between is that when the security is not given for a particular asset, the asset is free for liquidator to sell. And then it comes under the arena of a liquidator. Liquidator may sell independently or under a concept of going concern. So with whatever, so the concept is available assets means which are the assets available. So if the unsecured assets, yes, liquidator is free. In the case of a secured asset, there are two criteria. One, assets which are within the list of group of assets and liability, because liquidator has to prepare a group of assets and liabilities also. If for security interest, the interest is relinquished by the financial creditors, suppose relinquished, then the asset is available. If the option of relinquishment is available, which is available to financial creditor, they have not relinquished. Relinquish means that say in the case of State Bank of India is having a particular charge over a factory land, and a liquidator wants to sell the whole company as a going concern. When the land is with the State Bank of India's charge, the first step of liquidator is to think whether that security is available, the secured asset is available or not. When the asset is available, when the State Bank of India, which is having the particular charge of the land of the factory, relinquishes the right and allows liquidator, whenever the FC relinquish, forgo, the asset is available for a liquidator, and then liquidator takes a call of priority of sale, value maximization, and going concern. When we are saying that a factory is there, but the factory unit is secured, the lender is not open for relinquishment, then there is no available option. Even liquidator tries for GCS, it can't be, because the whole land factory is with the particular FCs. So important concept, whatever secured interest relinquished that are part of a liquidator's liquidation estate. Now there is a concept, the criticality is that when there is a consortium finance. So in our example, there is State Bank of India and there is Bank of Baroda. These two are the lenders, have commonly as a consortium lended the money. Now the point is how a liquidator should go about, whether it is the decision of a State Bank of India or a decision of a BOB will guide liquidator whether the asset is available or not. Here the concept is that liquidator to demonstrate valuation. So the role of a liquidator would be, liquidator will demonstrate to the financial creditors that look, there is the CD is absolutely viable. We can maximize the value. So going concern sale would be preferred, and that is absolute benefit for the whole stakeholders, including FCs. That is the rule. Now the catch is that under the Securitization Act, a particular section has been provided, I think section 13, that the relinquishment of the asset can be pressed if the COC has a 60% of the voting in favor of relinquishment. What does it state? That in a case of a consortium finance, in our example, SBI and BOB, if the relinquishment or a going concern concept is voted, here relinquishment is voted by FCs more than 60%, then a particular financial creditor having a consortium share, joint financing, cannot create any hurdle. So 60% is the voting. In a case of consortium, if 60% is voted in favor of relinquishment, yes, the asset which is secured by the financial creditors is available as a liquidation estate. And then considering that particular scenario, liquidator can think of going concern concept. So this is very important, available assets. Now, whether liquidator need any approval of COC. We have already observed shall and may of concepts. Now here it says that BLRC envisaged that COC should have some say in the proceedings of going concern. The concept originally that COC has the ultimate role to decide. The creditors wish to have some say in liquidation as it affects the interest. They advocate an effective mechanism for participation. So BLRC talks about COC's participation. But gradually, the answer is section 35 of the IBC, which says that liquidator shall have the power to consult any of the stakeholders. So when the liquidation order is given under 33, under 35, liquidator has duties and powers where liquidator may consult the stakeholders. So here liquidator is not under any pressure. It is not mandatory that COC should be consented and their approval is required. No, there is no approval required. And second, 35(1)(n) of the code states that liquidator shall have the power to apply to AA, that is adjudicating authority, for directions or orders for liquidation and to report the process of liquidation. So here also, under this particular section, liquidator can go to AA. What liquidator generally do? They file a direction under this particular section and request for allowing going concern sale even at a liquidation level. So as long as the unit is viable, definitely there is nothing negative, even no COC approval is required. So the concept is no liquidator doesn't need any guideline or approval of stakeholder committee or a COC for taking a decision. And as long as unit is viable, and if he demonstrate maximization of value, yes, liquidator should take a call. Now, how will you proceed as a liquidator? Now, these are all concepts. Now, what a liquidator should do, how he should proceed. For the purpose of liquidator's decision, there are two separate regulations provided. Regulation 32A under liquidation regulation and regulation 39C under CIRP regulation. So you must be wondering why a regulation under CIRP has been provided. Because there is a linkage that whenever at the time of CIRP even, the COC are discussing for liquidation as a going concern at that point of time, they say that there is asset on sale as a going concern, and when COC recommends GCS, you have to prepare asset memorandum or list of the assets available. That is what 39C is. We are seeing it down the line. And separate regulation 32A for liquidators call that how to tackle sale as a going concern. Liquidator is under duty to decide on sale as a going concern. So regulation 39C under CIRP regulation, it says that liquidator has to identify and group the assets which are available for sale as a going concern under clause E or F, whatever is the decision of a liquidator. So group of assets versus liability to be prepared here. Important is liquidator has to finally prepare e-auction memorandum or asset memorandum to understand containing assets of the CD. We have already seen secured, unsecured and all that relinquishment process. So here liquidator has to prepare asset memorandum, which are the assets available for sale, or the titles can be, handed over to the buyer. And whatever assets are there in the asset memorandum, those assets will be part of the successful bidder down the line. So that is very important, 39C under CIRP regulation. Now 32A of the liquidation. So yeah, you can have any question in between also, let me, and any participant can unmute and ask any of the questions in between. It is better to have a question answer whenever it arises. Now regulation 32A of liquidation regulation says that where the COC has recommended clause E and F, liquidator endeavors first to go for a going concern sale. We have already understood. For GCS, there will be assessment of asset liability agreed by COC or constitution of committee. So asset liability which are not part of EAM will not be transferred to the liquidator. It is basically the concept. Now what will happen on order of AA or a liquidation as a going concern? Now we are assuming that a liquidation order, after a liquidation order, liquidator has filed for going concern. Now, what will happen on order of A as a going concern? So consideration will form part of liquidation estate. So whatever consideration, that is whatever amount, say for example, a buyer is saying, successful acquirer is saying that we'll be paying 100 crore for a business, suppose, then these 100 crore will be a part of a liquidation estate. And these particular liquidation estate would be available for distribution after a buyer takes over. Whomsoever are the claimants, successful claimants or stakeholders, they would be given their share under the priority given under section 53 of the code. So consideration is equal to price of auction or a sale of a CD. It depends on reserve price. There is a process of reserve price, minimum price. On sale under regulation 32A, all assets where security interest is relinquished. Mark, we have already understood, whenever secured assets are relinquished by the FCs, those assets are available and those assets passes to the acquirer or a buyer. Now, existing equity shares of CD will be extinguished as the same will not be transferred. All existing shareholders are the stakeholders, are the claimant in the process, and will rank last in waterfall given in the 53 of the code. So there is a waterfall precise given. As per that particular waterfall, distribution will be made by the liquidator after receipt from the buyer. So now the whole process flow, this is very important just to understand that first process by a liquidator is to identify business assets and non-business assets. So now take the example, adjudicating authority, that is NCLT, has ordered liquidation. After a liquidation order, what will the liquidator do? First, liquidator will identify business assets and non-business assets, explore various permutations and combinations, explore your judgment, explore your expertise as a liquidator, which are business assets, which are non-business assets, considering the facts and information available. Thereafter, second level, it would be business assets, list out assets which are free and which are secure assets. So here, the important is whenever we are identifying that there are non-business assets, it is very easy. It is liquidator's call. They are available for sale. So in the business assets, identify free and secured under a mortgage. Business assets which are mortgage, security interest relinquished by FC or not, that liquidator has to identify and do the needful for the presentation, for the acceptance by the FC is very important that the unit is viable. Then after viability as to GCS considering asset memorandum, check the same specifically for asset not relinquished as per 3 above. So there may be a scenario that particular asset is not relinquished by the FCs. Even if as a liquidator, you are saying that the business is viable, even if that FC, there may be a scenario that FC is not ready to relinquish. Then you have to forgo that particular asset and then take a call that even without that particular asset, whether business is viable. That's the call of a liquidator at point 4. Thereafter, non-business assets may not be a part of a going concern package. So important, whenever liquidator is saying that I am open for going concern, it is not necessary that all the assets of the CD should be a part of a going concern package. It is liquidator's call. If particular asset which is a non-business, there is no need to link that particular non-business to a business asset. So if there is non-business assets, yes, liquidator can standalone sale. Even all the other business and all other stuff are under packed as a going concern CD. So here liquidator's call, whatever is better, whatever is maximization of the value, liquidator will decide. And he can, so here he can be, that particular assets can be sold with the other options available under 32. Yes, standalone can be sold. Thereafter, reserve price, considering regulation 35 of liquidation regulation. So now this regulation says that there is a particular reserve price above which the whole tendering and quotations and the proceedings will happen. Decision to ultimately it is important is maximization of value of the stakeholder. So there would be reserve price above which they have to quote. Then after, existing shares to be extinguished and acquired to split consideration into equity and non-equity portion. After order of AA for approval of scheme, that is duty of liquidator to file INC 28 for MCA, because during the liquidation and during the CIRP also, the MCA status of the company would be CIRP or for liquidator, or as the case may be. So after going concern sale order, yes, liquidator is bound to update the status so that the other formality like board of director, new board of director appointment and issuance of shares, and that can be easily done. Change of BOD and process as the new issue. Pending filings. Yes, liquidator has to do pending filing, filing of old returns and all that, and other necessary support given to the acquirer. Now, we are at a stage, what is the difference between CIRP and liquidation with respect to going concern sale? So here, CIRP, remember the discussion and presentation of Praveenji. He talks about resolution plan approval and the integrity of the CIRP resolution. And there is comparison here with liquidation as a going concern. Very important to understand. And at a CIRP level, applicant is called resolution applicant. At liquidation, there is no resolution as such. So applicant is called a successful bidder. At CIRP, resolution plan in detail is prepared by a resolution applicant and submitted to RP. That is a process. While under liquidation, there is no formal resolution plan. Here, a buyer, a bidder is not resolving the company. He is technically quoting for a particular price to take over the company. So there is no, it is just a buying of a company in a different modality. So here, no formal resolution plan is prepared. Thereafter, resolution plan to be checked by resolution professional for compliance. That is a process of compliance to be checked by a resolution professional. Here, no formal plan. There is that's why under liquidation as a going concern, there is no discussion as to approval, specific approval of the liquidator. Liquidator's call and duty to see maximization of value and protect the interest of the stakeholder. That is the whole liability of a liquidator. If he is getting value higher than the bid price in 90 days time, he has to get direct approval of AA. So here in CIRP resolution plan, there is a plan. Resolution professional RP has to give a certification, approval under 32, compliance and all that. And there are final approval of plan by AA under section 31. While here there is no plan, there is no formal compliance of the by the liquidator, and the particular plan needs to be processed, approved within 90 days timeline, which is given in the IBC. Thereafter, RP prepares information memorandum containing asset and liability and other information necessary for the purpose of resolution. While here under liquidation, liquidator prepares asset memorandum with intended clause of regulation 32 as to sale of the assets. So information memorandum with respect to assets available will be prepared. RP has a different role. Thereafter, sale consideration is bifurcated. Very important to understand the fundamental concept that sale at the point of CIRP, sale consideration is bifurcated with respect to each of the claimant. So here liability are crystallized as to the amount. We have already seen that 100 crore of amount, suppose is quoted by the resolution applicant, then these 100 crore will be distributed with respect to claimant, that a particular secured creditor, how much, a group, unsecured creditor, how much, operational creditor, how much, like that. They have specified it in the process of resolution plan. While liquidation under going concern, liquidator prepares asset memorandum and thereafter the consideration is not bifurcated at all, because consideration is a liquidator's amount which ultimately liquidator distributes as per section 53 to the claimants, to the old creditors of the company, whereby buyer, whomsoever is buying, pays the price and takes the company's assets. So sale consideration is not bifurcated with respect to each claimant. Buyer is not at all connected to any of the claimant's call. It is not buyer's call, it is liquidator's call to distribute as per 53. Successful bidder only brings in money in the form of equity or a preference share or a liquidate or a debenture or unsecured loan. A liability of creditor stakeholder are 53, while liability of the stakeholder in the resolution plan are as per resolution plan. And apart from this, it is very important that CIRP resolution plan, there is no talk of dissolution of the firm because it carries away. While liquidation undergoing concern may be having a dissolution of the company where only business is sold as a going concern. So these are the fundamental differences between the two. Now, we have a short time. So now we are moving towards important resolution plan approval. Not going much in the detail, but the ultimately point is that after the resolution plan is approved, PF office commissioner filed rectified claim higher than the previous claim, which was already been admitted by the RP and approved by the, thereafter approved, considered by the resolution applicant and approved by the A. Ultimately, it was decided that on approval of resolution plan by adjudicating authority, all claims that are not part of resolution plan shall stand extinguished. So here, whatever claims were there as per the book of resolution professional, those claims will be considered in the resolution plan. Whomsoever is not giving any of the claim, resolution plan is not covering that particular amount, which is not called by the creditor. So no person will be entitled to initiate any proceeding regarding claim that is not part of resolution plan. So this is information with respect to resolution plan approved under CIRP section 31. Now, typicality of resolution. We have already seen successful resolution applicants takes agreed liability in the CIRP. While here, acquirer does not take any liability, but pays agreed consideration towards old pending liabilities. That is one particular consideration. Admitted liability will be paid off as per waterfall by the liquidator only. Now, very important judgment, few important pronouncement. NCLT order in favor of liquidator and against applicant demanding going concern. So here is the case where liquidator is justifying that a company, a CD should not be sold under a going concern. You know, there must be certain important facts for consideration of a liquidator, and that is how liquidator is deciding that no going concern sale, standalone asset sale is better. Against this approach, the particular petition is filed against the approach of a liquidator. And very important is this is the same Gujarat NRE Co, which already we discussed that on 11th of January 2018, the new concept emerged as liquidation under a going concern. So initially what happened, NCLT approved liquidation as a going concern and directed liquidator to go for going concern. Now the story thereafter is that CD was sent into liquidation. We already understood. Liquidator was directed to within 3 months. Liquidator tried a lot in the whole process till September 2020. So much way beyond the directions given by the NCLT, but due to commercial unviability, liquidator had to give notice of suspension of workers and employees because going concern could not take place by the liquidator, even after the efforts. Now, between liquidation order and before the September 2020, many times compromise scheme was discussed and secured creditor and equity stakeholders rejected the same. So liquidator, yes, attempted for GCS, but he could not click because of the issues and required approvals of compromise. Out of many allegations, one of the requests was to restrain a liquidator. So now the petition was filed for the purpose to restrain liquidator, to stop liquidator to sell individual assets. So a group was demanding, a group of employees were demanding that yes, going concern sale should be attempted again, while liquidator is defending that no, it is not a viable scenario, and hence I ordered for suspension. Now, with these facts, liquidator has observed continuous erosion. So facts were erosion of working capital due to various issues, lack of available resources, including interim finance from the banks. Even bankers did not provide it at that particular time interim finance, and long drawn losses ultimately resulted a decision by a liquidator to close down the unit. Now, the fantastic observation by NCLT that NCLT rejected the plea of workers and directed the liquidator to proceed with the sale of CD and not as GCS. Initially, NCLT decided and injected the concept of liquidation as a going concern. In the same company, in the same situation, same process, after end of certain years of time or passage of time, NCLT decided that no, CD should be sold independently and not as a going concern. So direction is given to a liquidator that it is a discretion of a liquidator at some point of time. The words are that at some point of time, hard decisions are called for in life of a company, and these have to be taken. Unviable units, very important, will have to be closed down. The action will have to be measured up against the objective of the code. And one of the objectives is to free up resources so that the resources can be deployed somewhere else. And that is what is decided by the NCLT. Thereafter, a very important decision as cautiously a liquidator has to take his call. Yes, we have already seen that it is a discretion of liquidator to decide. Liquidator is not under any pressure to decide for going concern sale. But yes, simultaneously, he has to see that the action is within the parameter and boundaries of regulations and the code. For that, NCLT order against liquidator as a going concern. Here, liquidator filed a petition before NCLT under his power and requested that going concern sell GCS at this point of time as a liquidation needs to be approved. Alchemist Asset Reconstruction Company versus Abhijit So and so, a very important judgment. The facts are that petition has been filed by a liquidator seeking a certain clarification and a direction from the NCLT. One of the clarification is the transfer of undertaking in terms of above shall vest all rights, title and interest, fair enough, in the whole and every part of the undertaking without any security interest, encumbrances or any demur into the acquirer. So the request was from the liquidator was that whatever assets, including secured assets, needs to be given to the acquirer without any demur, without any limitations, right? So the direction, understand the concept. The direction is that liquidator is directed to strictly follow the regulation before making the offer for sale the unit as a going concern basis. It should be ensured that none of the financial creditor opted for selling the secured assets. We already understood the concept of relinquishment of the assets, and this is what exactly it is. If the financial creditor have relinquished the assets, yes, liquidator's petition for filing direction is absolutely okay. But in the scenario where secured assets are not relinquished, no, liquidator cannot request for going concern with those assets by stating that secured interest should be foregone and acquirer needs to pass a clean slate. No, because it is overruling the regulations already prescribed. Now, there are two options for a liquidator. Now, we are at a point that liquidator has to decide which particular regulation he has to move forward. There are two regulations. Regulation 2B under liquidation and regulation 32A under regulation. There are two regulations precisely given. First, regulation 2B states that compromise and arrangement is proposed under section 230 of Companies Act by the creditor of the members. So we already know that there is a, say a company under section 230 of Companies Act, creditors and even the stakeholders, shareholders can file compromise and arrangement scheme before the NCLT. Under Companies Act also adjudicating authority is NCLT and under IBC also. So here regulation 2B states that compromise and arrangement could be filed and could be approved by the liquidation through NCLT. And the another option, regulation 32A, sale as a going concern. Well, liquidator is of the opinion. Say 230 is not in the picture. Here, liquidator himself decides that yes, it is a viable and for all maximization of value and all that. Liquidator is of the opinion, or COC has recommended. COC may recommend, we have already understood the concept, for maximization value and available, and this option is available for 90 days of a liquidation order. Both the concepts are available for 90 days. Why 90 days? There is a principle that IBC is a time-bound process. It states that there is certain, each and every stage has a time. And here a time of 90 days is given to revive the company. Now, practical case. So here we have understood regulation 32A. What is a direct judgment of NCLT? Here, very landmark judgment, absolutely landmark judgment in depth. Bank of Baroda versus Topworth Pipes and Tubes Private Limited, order dated 9th of March 2021. It is a recent order. It says, let us understand the facts of the case because it is very important to understand here. Petition under 7 filed by the applicant Bank of Baroda, which was admitted. So this is financial creditors admission, a petition admitted and CIRP started in absence of resolution plan. So, think of Praveen Ji's presentation. There is no resolution plan. Ultimately, NCLT ordered under section 33 for liquidation of the company. Now, liquidator's role starts. Liquidator invited bid for sale as a going concern. So liquidator assumes, we have to assume that liquidator is of the opinion that there is a viability of the company. So liquidator invited bid. It is his call only for sale as a going concern. As is where is, as is what is, and whatever there is inside the company, he invited bid for sale of the company. That is how the whole process goes. Now, e-auction process memorandum states that upon payment of 25% of the bid amount, an agreement including term sheet shall be executed between liquidator having a role and a successful bidder. So yes, after quoting approval, you have to have the 25% payment and then sit with me for the formal agreement. Entire asset to be transferred to the successful bidder. This were the fact. After full payment within 90 days, all other novation deeds for contract in name of CD will be executed. So whatever deeds, whatever contracts that need updation, liquidator is in a position to update and hand over to the buyer. Applicant, that is a successful bidder, complied with the requirement of EMD payment and all that. So ultimately, now applicant is in a position to acquire the company, and then applicant goes to NCLT for further direction. Now successful bidder applied. Okay, these all are facts. We are not into a judgment or a direction of the NCLT. These are all important facts. Applicant, that is the successful bidder, petition under 60 subsection 5. Any direction can be taken by from the NCLT for granting relief in favor of applicant specific, because till this time, understand that there are certain regulations and all, but there are no detailed order or observation or direction of the NCLT with respect to going concern sale during liquidation. So successful bidder filed a petition. Cutoff date is liquidation commencement date, LCD, which is 12th of June, not important for our purpose, and total consideration of 119.90 crore to be paid as so and so as a split. So these are the facts of the case. Cutoff date is liquidation date. Effective date, there are certain important dates. What is cutoff is a liquidation date. So cutoff date prior to any of the liability of cutoff date is not the responsibility. One is assumption. Second, effective date is the date when the AA approved the GCA. So there is cutoff and there is effective date where adjudicating authority approved. And third one is closing date, which is 90 days period or timeline for payment and other compliances by the applicant or a successful bidder. Now, very much important for our understanding is that now liquidation as a going concern has been approved by the liquidator. Successful bidder is before the NCLT for specific directions. Now, which are the prayers and what is the direction given? I have summarized it for better understanding. One, direction to be issued that on full payment, the right and titles, etc., to be given to the acquirer immediately. So assume that you are buying a company from a liquidator at a going concern sale. You are saying that full payment, on full payment, rights and title, etc., to be handed over. Now the direction prior granted, as far as the going concern sale in liquidation is concerned, there is a difference that only available assets and the liability of the corporate has to be settled. So all the assets available will be transferred to you. All the liabilities whatsoever, crystallized, non-crystallized, whatever, it is not a role of a buyer. It is a role of a liquidator to settle or to distribute as per the waterfall given under section 53. So yes, they have directed in favor. Second prayer, sales consideration to be distributed by liquidator in term of 53, absolutely. And all the claims, liability, actual, real, potential, contingent will be written off in full and shall stand permanently extinguished. So the prayer of a buyer is that whatever are old liability, because I was not in the picture till the time of a buyer or till the time of the LCD. So whatever are prior liability, I am paying an amount, absolute, there would be settlement of all those liabilities. This prayer is admitted thoroughly by stating that liability will be treated as settled and purchaser takes the assets free from any encumbrances as the creditors will be paid out of the sale consideration as per the waterfall under section 53. Thereafter, the prayer is that a direction to be issued that all the inquiry, investigation, assessment, notice, cause of action, suit, claim, dispute, litigations, all the proceedings in relation to any prior bidder shall be deemed to be withdrawn. Because obviously, whenever you are handing over a burning company which has very bad past track record, there may be n number of cases and litigations. A buyer is praying that it should be free, company should be free from all those proceedings. And yes, prayer granted, it is absolute that every liability whatsoever, every petition, every pending issues and litigations, CD would be free and freely available to the applicant. Thereafter, the prayer is that a direction to be issued to company for change of status of company as active and also to reconstitute board of director. Obviously, prayer granted, existing shares, share capital of the corporate debtors can stand cancelled. That is the direction given without there being any payment to the stakeholder. Liquidator shall take action to change the status as active and board of director constituted thereafter. Now the another prayer is that direction to be issued to liquidator to write back, that is debit, all those liabilities of CD which are not payable and to reflect only those which are payable at the amount of consideration. This is very important. So they are saying the prayer is that out of, say, for example, 500 crore of liability, as I am paying 100 crore, just to take the example, then all 400 crore of liability to be written off in the books of old CD. A direction to be issued to liquidator to write back, that is debit, all liability of CD which are not payable. Say in our case, out of 500, 100 crore I am paying, a buyer is paying, then 400 crore to reflect only those which are payable at the amount of a consideration. So मुझे only payable amount का ही balance sheet चाहिए, पुरानी amount का any amount whatever are there in the past as a liability needs to be written off. Yes, prior granted, liquidator and applicant. The words are, directions are, liquidator and applicant shall be at liberty to take the call to sit and to make accounting entries as far as permissible and clear the matter. So this is the direction, very important for our case. A direction to be issued to liquidator to write off all assets of CD which are not recoverable and to reflect assets with realizable value and give effect in the profit and loss account and balance sheet of the CD. These are the prayer by the, because here the case is that there are cases, there always that there are, as per the balance sheet, old balance sheet, there are so many huge amount of assets. But out of those assets, say for example, trade receivables of say 50 crore. Out of those trade receivables which are 50 crore as per the balance sheet, it may happen that only 30 crore are there as far as the recoverable. So a direction is to be issued to the liquidator to write off all assets of the CD which are not recoverable. Prior granted by stating that assets specified in e-auction memorandum on payment of the consideration will vest with the applicant. So all those assets which are under asset memorandum will be part of the acquirer's ownership. Another important prayer, the bid filed by applicant should be considered as to be a resolution plan under section 79 of IT Act, and a direction to be issued that brought forward losses of CD be permitted to be carried forward and be available for set off. So this is with reference to income tax section 79 of the matter with respect to going concern sale. Here important is CD is entitled benefit of the brought forward losses subject to, what are the directions? Subject to the permission of the respective authorities. Here commissioner or whatever are the authorities, NCLT directed that if so entitled under relevant provision of the income tax. It is not a matter of NCLT to decide a particular income tax is applicable or section is applicable or not. So they directed that yes, applicant is entitled under relevant provision of the and section 79 for the bid submitted to be deemed as resolution plan. Applicant may approach for this matter. Applicant may approach to authority concerned who would consider such request under the Income Tax Act. So liquidator is directed to ensure completion of pending filing of ROC, income tax authorities, and any other central government or statutory authority along with this direction. Now another is practical case, that is another scenario where a compromise or settlement is undertaken by at the liquidation level. Regulation 2B, very important, Asset Reconstruction Company India versus so and so, order dated 27th February 2019. Facts of the case, that in the case of Messrs. Sarvalakshmi Paper Limited, which is a CD, in absence of a resolution plan, NCLT Chennai passed an order of liquidation. Asset Reconstruction Company, being financial creditor, filed resolution plan. There are thereafter other company also filed a resolution plan, which COC ultimately rejected on the basis of non-viable and non-feasible, and hence finally a liquidation order came. So now there is a liquidation, there is rejection of resolution plan. ARCIL filed an appeal against the NCLT order stating COC wrongly voted against the revised resolution plan. So now it is decided that what is the role of a liquidator in this type of a situation? Let me share a particular judgment. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, visible.
Visible.
Okay. So now NCLT ultimately in CLAT gave the decision that the question arises for consideration is to what steps should be taken by the liquidator during liquidation. Here, a very important citation, even in liquidation, it is stated that liquidator can sell the business of the corporate debtor as a going concern. Reference ArcelorMittal, that is been quoted by the adjudicating authority. And thereafter, a very important observation here. Here it is that before taking steps to sell the asset of the corporate debtor, liquidator will take steps in terms of section 230 of the Companies Act. So 230 of the Companies Act is for compromise and settlement under Companies Act 2013, and which is appreciated under regulation 2B, which we are discussing. They are saying that before sell as assets of the CD, liquidator will take step in terms of 230 of the compromise and scheme only on failure of revival. When after approaching certain process of revival, only on failure, the adjudicating authority and liquidator will first proceed with the sale of company's asset wholly, and thereafter, if not possible, to sell the company in part and in accordance with the law. So the point has been decided that even if it is a liquidation, even if resolution applicant resolution plan has been rejected, the liquidator is instructed to go for a revival of the company. So that is most important under section 230. Now, issues of acquirer with respect to liquidation. Quickly, we can proceed for that. We have understood that there are MCA updation required. Very important, preparation of opening balance sheet. Now, acquirer is taking all assets and no liability. Here, the scenario is for a thing like an acquirer. You are taking all the assets and no liability. What is the point? Then how you will account for? My view, consideration paid will be booked, as we already understood, share capital and unsecured loan, and difference between the two as a capital reserve. But the matter is under a scanner. It is liquidators or a buyer's call how to account for. Another is availability of set off of losses. This is the absolute vibrant and burning issue, that when a company is taken over at the liquidation stage under going concern sale, whether old losses which are carried forward by the CD are available for a new acquirer or a buyer. Now, for that, for our consideration, section 79, subsection 2, subclause C states that the carried forward will not apply to a company where a change in the shareholding take place in a previous year pursuant to a resolution run. So sorry, it states that section 79 carry forward will be available only when change in shareholding takes place in a previous year pursuant to a resolution plan approved under IBC section 31, after affording a reasonable opportunity of being heard to the jurisdictional principal commissioner or a commissioner. So section 79 of Income Tax Act states that only in the case of resolution plan approved under section 31, referring to a particular section of IBC, along with approval taken opportunity after opportunity being heard of the commissioner or a respective principal commissioner, subject to that, section 79 is available for a resolution applicant. Now matter is, what about a buyer under liquidation level? Whether this resolution plan is equal to a liquidator's going concern concept, where buyer has given a purchase plan. Whether liquidation as going concern is at par with resolution plan. That is a question burning issue. Now I am giving you certain important inputs in favor that liquidation as a going concern is very much same as resolution plan approval, both as the primary intent of carrying of the CD. At the CIRP also, we are taking the corporate debtor as a going concern. Here also we are taking as a going concern. So that it is in favor. Second favor, resolution plan also has the effect of reducing liability of the CD. So any argument which says that you are reducing, you are not taking assets, here the argument in favor would be that resolution plan also has the effect of reducing the liability. We have seen in number of cases that even the haircut is up to 95% in various cases by the 95% of the claim of the FCs and OCs. So here also resolution plan has the effect of reducing the liability and also change of board of director and change of the shareholder. Similar situation is there in the liquidation as a going concern also. Okay, till date, there is no clarification on this. NCLTs are at the most directing to refer to the concerned jurisdiction income tax authorities. Now, what is against the argument against the carry forward aspect? Liquidation as a going concern takes only assets and no liability. So first, it is not at par with resolution plan. Here we are taking only assets, no liability. So there is no liability whatsoever, even pending issues. Second, resolution plan takes the asset and liability, but liability with appropriate haircut. And this is covered under 79. When acquirer is not even taking any old liability, for what purpose carried forward losses to be made available to a buyer? This is the argument against the case. So IT Act covers specific sections 31. I think section 31 of IBC is referred in specific. So whether is there, time will tell whether it is at par with resolution plan, but it's a burning issue. Another unanswered issues are that section 36 talks about assets which are not a part of a liquidation estate. Here, just briefly, PF funds and pension funds parked are not covered under liquidation estate because those funds are specifically made for employees and workers. So liquidator in a regular scenario also, liquidator cannot liquidate, cannot sell, cannot offset the asset which is in the form of a PF fund or a pension fund. So now the point comes, the issue comes that in the case of a going concern, when the CD is taken over by the buyer, how to deal with the PF or the pension funds? Who will deal that particular aspect? So that is the unanswered. Second, recent judgments put up before us various situations where right of acquirer are subject to necessary approvals. We have seen that in the case of section 79, because NCLTs are saying that go to particular authorities. Say in the case of licensing issues, say a telecom company, in the case of a telecom licensing also, it is always with respect to the respected authorities because they have the separate laws and acts available. So you have to take related approvals from those authorities also. So these are always the issues with the acquirer. Acquirer cannot say that yes, it is everything would be available finally to me. So it depends on respective authorities. Another unanswered question is that there is a difference between approval process of resolution plan and a liquidation under going concern. Because adjudicating authority, that is NCLT, has various power under resolution plan stage, observation, rights and empowerments and all that. But under these, there is no specific section, similar section available under liquidation. Chapter 3 for liquidation as going concern, and hence every acquirer has to go to AA for necessary direction. Because here NCLT says that yes, compromise settlement in my particular case, one of the case which I represented in last month also, NCLT agreed for the compromise and settlement scheme with a single sentence that compromise and settlement scheme filed by the liquidator after the approval of COC is approved. That's it. So ultimately, acquirer has to go to the specific direction for direction to the AA. So yes, these are issues. But a very important recent issue arises, that is uncertainty ahead. I was recently referring to a report of standing committee on finance which is presented before Lok Sabha on 3rd of August, about exactly 3 days back. And Lok Sabha passed on the important aspects also. Let me read that particular situation which has been deliberated on. Sorry. The paper says that while liquidation under section 54 of IBC requires dissolution of corporate data, because the committee's standpoint is that whenever there is a liquidation, there is section 54 available for liquidator to dissolve the company. Section Regulation 32 of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, Liquidation Process Regulation 2016, Liquidation Regulation inter alia provides for sale of assets of a CD during liquidation. The NCLT principal bench in the matter of invest asset particular judgment has also taken a view that liquidation requires dissolution under IBC, and hence regulations that very important regulations that provide for liquidation as a going concern are ultra vires, and that the legislation has created further uncertainty. This is that it is a legislation who have decided and ultimately amended the regulation, incorporating E and F clauses for going concern sale, business, and a CD. So therefore, the proposal is that regulation 32E of liquidation may be deleted. Additionally, 32F of the liquidation regulation may be amended appropriately. So this is all creating absolute uncertainty recently before 3 days of time. But I think it is worth noticing here. Yeah, this is thank you from my side. Thanks for the opportunity given, and thanks to carefully listening. Do you have any question? Then definitely I'm open for answering those. So participants may ask any of the question if they want. So till the time, just think about, but the important learning from my side that I have taken one assignment of representing a buyer in a buy side advisory, where buyer that is a successful bidder in the process of liquidation under going concern under section 230 of the Compromise and Settlement under Companies Act. They approved the scheme, COC approved the scheme, thereafter NCLT approved the scheme, and the whole process is handing over has been recently taken care. It is very much important that there are a lot of issues and hurdles in the liquidation as a going concern, because the NCLTs are not getting directions in detail at every and any moment. So you have to go to the NCLT for particular direction. But yes, the matter is absolutely settled. NCLTs know that there is a particular sections and reference of the Companies Act also, and they approve the scheme. There is no such hurdle for the approval. So yeah, as a liquidator, it is definitely a challenging task to see that it is maximizing the value and all that liability of a liquidator.
Darshan bhai, I have a question.
Please, Hardik bhai.
So, can in a resolution plan it can be decided, like say COC, when liquidator present a resolution plan, that plan can it also be provide for companies to hand over or to sale on a going concern basis? In that case, even this carry forward of loss matter, or the matter between that the in available credit is settled, because
Yeah, understood, Hardik bhai. The point is, whenever there is compromise and settlement scheme put up by the liquidator, the scheme always has the ingredient of rights to the buyer as to carry forward and losses and usage of the companies and whatever licensing are there and all that. But now we are at a juncture that NCLT has no power to give or to allow income tax matters. So here,
no, but see, point is that for a buyer company also at times it's very important, and it's a prime consideration whether this will be available as an asset or not, because it will affect the overall bidding and whatever he has paid for the company. It is also important for him to know, because see, generally company goes in liquidation who are into losses and cannot afford. So there
correct.
must be a carry forward of losses.
Yeah, I totally agree, Hardik bhai.
So can it be a part of resolution process, and can we avoid ambiguity about it towards carry forward losses or not?
So that is what is a pending issue, because recently 20 that is March, that is Topworth judgment 20 I think 18th March 2021, recent judgment before 4 months. NCLT directed that respective buyer has to go to the IT authorities. So yes, there is no clarity on the part of carry forward and set off of the losses, because it pertains to income tax, which has a different adjudicating authority or a different authorities prescribed. So NCLT's role is till the time of the approval of the with respect to Companies Act or the IBC. Whenever you are referring to any your rights, you are absolutely right on your part as a buyer. In my case also, we are assuming that we will be taking forward the carry forward loss, but it is always subject to the approval of the concerned tax authorities here in the case. Same will be the case of a licensing issue or any other ministry, because the particular company law or a IBC has a specific state of mind for at the time of approval. But the point may be considered that whenever you are saying that any liability, right? So whether a carry forward of losses, regard to your specific query, whether that carry forward is your asset, first, and second, whether these asset comes under the asset memorandum, because the various orders are saying that whatever assets are there under the asset memorandum will be a part of a going concern. So I think there is a overlapping of certain these and that, but still.
No, and assuming that this condition not fulfilled, say for example, the company is taken as a going concern,
Correct.
Okay, on a consideration and all assets or no liabilities or whatsoever. Subsequently, this thing doesn't happen, or there may be a situation when the as a going concern it's not possible. Then what's next recourse? Should it again go back to liquidator, or it will be again referred to to NCLT to again to winding up the company? Or what is the next course? If say for example a proposal is submitted that this company I will take as a as a going concern, on an assumption that GST credit, unavailable credit, because loss making company all the asset will be lying in terms of unutilized losses or unabsorbed depreciation, or maybe assuming if that is not available, because technically section 79 is very clear that change in a shareholder you are not entitled.
Correct.
Unless NCLT give you a specific release using its power.
So you are saying that suppose at the going concern level, compromise and settlement scheme is not approved by the NCLT. Are you saying?
No, it is approved by the NCLT, but subsequently the same hurdle comes that like income tax doesn't give you the handover. Like, see, I have worked in a broadcasting company. So if I take a broadcasting company, the broadcasting license may not be shifted and they are not unable to continue as a going concern the company. Then what's the course of action? Again, they have to wind up or reroute this entire IBC process, or they can simply go to liquidator and say, no, it's not possible.
Exactly. So normally what should be the course of action for a buyer would be that in the compromise and settlement scheme, say exactly in the case of a license, broadcast license or something like that, there should be a condition that we will be paying only 10% or certain portion of the amount if the scheme is approved by the NCLT. And after within a period of say 90 days or certain particular 2-3 months of time, subject to approval of the licensing authorities, if granted in our favor, we will be in a position to pay you remaining money, or else whatever amount paid would be refunded to us as a buyer. And in that case, if the licensing are not approved or conversion or approval is not obtained from the buyer with that authority, yes, the whole the particular scheme fails ultimately, and then liquidator has to call again what is the future course of action. So it is ground zero. Now regulation 32, ABCDEF, all those process, that selling of individual asset and going concern and all that. So again, the efforts are available, but the going concern sale is available for 90 days period only. So if within 90 days of period, liquidator is in a position to sell the company, the option is available, or else he has to liquidate in a regular scenario.
No, my question is that a company I have bought, assuming I am a client and I have bought a company as a going concern.
Correct.
Now, the operational license could not be transferred or whatever, some situation arise during this handover that I cannot continue the operations of the company. Then what's the recourse? Should I go to liquidator? Because liquidator will say my role is over, I have handed over, so now whatever you want to do.
Correct. So now you are saying that after the going concern is agreed by the NCLT and after the taking over of your company, there are certain issues which are not in your favor. Then at that point of time, again it's a fresh. It is not that it will be bounced back to the liquidator, because
so again I have to go under section 7, 8 or maybe
yes, other
10.
Voluntary winding up and all other process would be available at that, because now you are the owner of the company.
Okay, so I cannot go back to regulator. He has to restart this entire cycle under section 10 then.
No. Once this scheme is approved, you have paid, you have got the handing over, you have changed the board of director, you have issued the new shares, everything is done, and now you are the owner. It belongs to you. Now it is upon you to carry the unit or to close down the unit. So it's your call as a buyer only.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Darshan bhai. Very
Thank you, Hardik, for your questions.
Yes, participants, any more questions? Okay. Yeah, I think everyone is now clear. Yeah. So very nice and a fruitful session, sir. On behalf of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICI, we are thankful for your valuable time, that too early in the morning. You very smoothly gave a gist of the entire topic in the first story itself, when the Bible said that that sentence was too much. Yeah. So I think that was more than enough for the entire session. I just got into the topic very easily. Then you also explained about the IBBI governing body discussion, which I found very interesting. The difference between CD as a going concern and the business as a going concern. All in all, the session was very interesting and engaging. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mundra. Thank you for your nice words, appreciating words. Thank you, participants, for the participation. Thank you.